Hello, Internet. The odds of you making any money with your music in 2025 are pretty much zero. So, today I want to talk about why you shouldn't focus on money and you should focus on making art and your own self expression. So, let's say that you make a song that gets a ton of views, it's super popular, you kind of go viral, you blow up, but it's something that you made with the intent of making money, right? So, in that way you succeeded, right? You made a song, it got a lot of attention, it's bringing in new listeners and stuff, which will, translate to making money. So you kind of, you try to recreate the success of that song. You keep making songs similar, you keep putting them out, they get some views, and then, as time goes on, the views get less and less and less because people aren't as interested in the shtick that you're doing for that specific type of music, right? And remember, this isn't really what you wanted to make in the first place anyway. So eventually you're going to get to a point where you're not enjoying yourself making the music that you think you have to make because that's what people want. The people that are listening to your music, they're not really enjoying it anymore because you're just making the same thing over and over again, expecting to get the same results. So you kind of end up back where you started, right? But imagine this. Imagine a situation where you make a song that you love. It's your favorite song you ever made. You put it out, it gets a lot of views. Maybe not as many as the other one would, but it gets a decent amount of views where you're like, wow, maybe I can do this. The people that are in my community that like my music, they're responding really well to this. So let me just keep doing that. And by doing that, I don't mean make that song over and over again. I mean, make what you really want to make over and over again. Because people have to remember, I say this all the time. I sound like a broken record, but it's super important. People forget that music is art. And art is just self expression, and there's no rules. Art can be whatever you want it to be. And whether you like to believe it or not, people want artists. People don't want machines that are just churning out lowest common denominator bullshit. Some people do want that. And if that's all you're trying to do, by all means, have fun. But if you care about art and you care about connecting with the people that listen to your music, you owe it to your audience to make what you want to make from your perspective, from your brain to the best of your ability, or else you're doing everybody a disservice, including yourself. Um, I really believe this to be true. And if you think about like maybe you'll be scrolling on TikTok or Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts, and you'll see certain musicians that get a lot of views, but they're not really making art, right? They're making content. They're making music so that they can make content, which again, nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do. This video is for people that are artists, that care about art, and that's their priority. Even as an artist, making art, making music that has an artistic value to it, it's coming from you. You can still make content around that music, right? But it's all about the intention within your own mind because everyone's not going to pick up on that. People are going to interpret it however they want. And like I said, that lowest common denominator BS song might get a lot of views and people might not care because it's all they want at the time. But that's the thing, it's all they want at the time. They're not interested in growing with you. They're not interested in seeing where you go. They're interested in what you're doing right now. And then they're going to move on, right? So those first couple like views where you get a lot of stuff all of a sudden, that seems appealing and it seems like something that you kind of want. But at the end of the day, and again, this is just what I think, it's better to build your community slowly over time and grab the attention of people that want to see you grow. They want to see what you're going to do next. They're actually interested in you changing up what you're doing, and they're actually interested in seeing what happens if they continue to follow you. I think it's a long-term goal. And I think that's the greatest way that you can succeed externally as an artist is to grow with a community. And that can be like-minded artists that are also making art. It can just be people that enjoy what you're doing. It can be a whole different, all different types of people can enjoy what you're doing. But I don't think you should worry about that until after the art is already made. And Now, I'm saying this because I also need to hear this. This is something that I get caught up with in my head all the time. A lot of times I'll think about things and I'll be like, yeah, but I'm making the song. Who's going to like it? And then I try to just like put it to the side. If that's a thought that crosses my mind while I'm making music, I try to just stop for the time being. Because what that tells me is that I'm not in a creative headspace. I'm in a externalization headspace. Before I've even taken the idea out of me and manifested it into the world, I'm already thinking about what it's going to do. And yeah, maybe thinking of those things can be inspiring to make the art, but I think focusing on external things while you're creating art is really not a good way to make art. It's not a good way to create. It's not healthy for you as an artist. And eventually, if that's your focus, the art is going to suffer. That's just how it is. Because you can't really focus everything all at once. You kind of have to figure out what you're doing. And there is it's a sliding scale. There is space in between where you can take a little bit of this and a little bit of that and put it together and make something good that's authentic to you. But ultimately, I think it comes down to what are your goals. And if your goal is to make money with music, you're probably not going to succeed. It's really, really hard to make a living, especially from music. There are so many things you have to do to make that happen. And you can't just rely on the music itself anyway. Like a lot of people that are making a living off of music, they're not just doing it from their music. A lot of them, especially in 2025, are making content. Hey, bro, but you said you shouldn't focus on content if you want to make money, blah, 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 blah. Again, it's up to you what you want to do. But in my opinion, my focus is to make the best art that I can possibly make, the best music that I can possibly make. Something that feels like it's actually representative of me as an artist and my mind and an idea that I had or an idea that I found or that I stumbled upon that I made into something that I feel really proud of. That is my priority. And if you're watching this video and that's also your priority with making music or art or anything that you're doing in life that's creative, that's what you got to focus on. Don't worry about how many followers you're going to get. Don't worry about how many views you're going to get. Don't worry about how much money you're going to make because the odds of those things happening, first of all, are very low. And second of all, are completely out of your control. You can't force anybody to watch your videos or listen to your music. You can't force anybody to follow you. You can't force anybody to give you money. All you can do is make what you think you should make and put it out into the world. So, hope you get a little inspiration out of this video. That's all I wanted to say this week. I put out a new video every Sunday. So if you like this video, you can come back next week for a new one. Best of luck out there making your art, and I'll see you next week.